I'm excited to introduce our first keynote speaker, David Clow, the Chief Information Officer at the Metropolitan Police Department of the District of Columbia. David is a leader in using GIS to enhance public safety and service strategies in our nation's capital. Please join me in welcoming David Clow as he shares insights on the critical role of geospatial technologies in law enforcement. Hi, David. Welcome.
Hey, good morning. Can you guys hear me?
Yep, you're good.
Awesome. So when I was first asked to do this, much like Chad, I was thinking, well, I'm not really a GIS guy. I'm not a GIS engineer. I don't know what value I could bring to the conversation. But then I started thinking about it and how GIS and mapping has become so ubiquitous and we're impacted by it every day. And the more I thought about it and my stakeholders, I saw more and more how we do utilize it. And so that's why I put this little presentation together. Go to the next slide, please. So GIS, obviously, as all of you are aware, has revolutionized a lot of different industries. And today I'm going to focus on how that's affected public safety. A little historical background of how mapping was first used, where we are today, and what's next. So the earliest mapping you'll find in DC. I found this map from 1893. This delineates all of the districts that we have in DC. Other jurisdictions, we call them precincts, but in DC they're called police districts. And it's interesting that there's 9 in this drawing. There's currently 8, and there's been 8 for most of the history. And even before this, although I couldn't find any visual examples, you see a lot of references to hand-drawn maps on police beat patrols and everything going very far back in time. Next, please. So early references to GIS is pushpin maps that you often see in crime dramas were often developed in the early 1900s to highlight where crimes were occurring. And then you see the advance in the early 1900s of education institutes thinking about mapping as it relates to the sociology of crime, and how crime occurs and where it occurs, and how we can use mapping to understand crime and work to prevent crime. Then later on, as again, all you experts are aware, CAD came around and computer-aided design really increased the flexibility of those mapping solutions. Next, please. Here's another great map I found here in DC. This is a map of all the police and fire districts and stations in DC to include the locations of the water plugs. So even in the 1880s, it was very important for city planners and first responders to understand their coverage zones for the city and where the resources were available. Next, please. So within the last 30 years, as I've gotten into government work and into supporting public safety, agencies really embrace GIS for planning, understanding, and making decisions on how mapping and GIS can influence public safety. Next, please. Crime mapping. Everyone's ever seen a crime drama. You've seen crime mapping being utilized. It was popularized in New York with the CAPSTAT meetings or crime stats, and that's spread throughout the industry. And then you see hazard mapping, which is very important for your emergency management services and fire response. And then intelligent policing is where we can take data and add it to mapping scenarios to understand what's going on in our city. Next, please. So crime mapping analysis, you'll see some great tools we have here on the Octo Open Data Portal for DC. You can select types of crimes you want, uh, focus on certain neighborhoods, and also the time frames you want, and it'll pull up a heat map from all the open data that's displayed on the portal. We use that same kind of data internally for our citywide planning, our crime initiatives, and the focus for our local districts and the commanders in those stations. I like this one. This one is pulled from California, from Cal Fire, and the focus on firefighting. They do hazard mapping, and what this map does, and it's Esri based, it uses live satellite data to identify high fire risk, and even a small pop out you probably can't read. It's the satellites are identifying hotspots that need to be investigated. So this kind of turns more into the predictive side, and where we're looking at live data affecting the map and operational intelligence for the organizations. Next, please. HSEMA here in DC, FEMA, and a lot of other emergency management services use incident management tracking with mapping that has historical data as far as emergency evacuation routes. It also brings in live data such as weather. In DC and other jurisdictions, we run tabletop exercises on these kind of scenarios where we bring in data of what could happen and then role play how we would respond and react to these type of scenarios. Situational awareness mapping is a favorite of mine. Just in the past 10 years, it's come so far for public safety. This is where we are utilizing all the data that an agency has from live crime data, from ShotSpotter data, from where our units and officers are, and giving us a live operational picture in our real-time crime center. Next slide, please. So here's an example from the mayor's press conference when we launched the real-time crime center. As you can see, it's a very densely populated map. You can turn off the different layers to focus on the area of interest for that individual crime analyst or detective. Bringing this live information in, being able to pull CCTV cameras during an operational event or response, getting that live dispatch and call data from the Office of Unified Communication, license plate hits on tags for stolen vehicles. Now we have incorporated drones and sensor networks. All this data gives us a high level of operational intelligence for both event planning and incident response. By integrating all these data, again, it gives a lot of intelligence quickly. It doesn't do anything that our detectives and analysts couldn't do on their own before, but what it does is increases the speed of that information and making it more easily understood through that format of the GIS live data map. Next, please. So where are we looking to go next? Increased use of mobile GIS. You've all seen the operations center where they have the large map on the wall and your high-level staff are reviewing that map. How can we put that in the hands of your first responders on their mobile device so they can see a map that's useful for them in their immediate situation, but not flooding them with too much information for them to be effective? How can we use AI ethically and effectively in GIS to help us be responsive and also for planning purposes? What other real-time data integration can we bring in? And then further in the future, in the training mechanism, how can we use virtual and augmented reality, and how can we use all the different data sources from the Internet of Things to help provide safety and security? Thank you. Next, please. So again, I am not a GIS expert, but I have become a big fan in GIS in my time here at MPD. There's a lot of potential. we have high level of adoption. Once you put these tools in first responders' hands, they immediately see the value and start taking advantage of it, and even thinking of it, how to use it in ways that we don't from the technology side. Any questions or anything? So this is me going down the rabbit hole. In researching this presentation, I found this medieval murder map that was done by Cambridge University, where they've taken write-ups from the 1300s of murders and how they were committed, and now they've overlaid this on a new map. So if you want to find something interesting to kill some time and go down a rabbit hole, I highly recommend this as well. That's all I have for today. I appreciate your time and for having me.